NTEU, thank you for what you do for our nation. And to each one of you that are here, thank you for being here. Thank you for standing up for what's right. I listened to some of my colleagues. I know that Congressman Jim Moran was here, and I heard John Sarbanes, who represents me in the House of Representatives, and Eleanor Holmes Norton. And we're together on what this fight's about. Today we're fighting on behalf of decency for our federal workforce, those of you who are on the front line. Eleanor Holmes Norton said that one of the things she wanted to do is say thank you. I've been around to many of the federal agencies over the last year to say thank you. Thank you for what you do for the people I represent in Maryland and for the people of this nation. You are on the front lines of public service. You are providing the very best in the world. You are doing your job, helping the people of this country in public service. And I really start by saying thank you. Now, you're looking at me and saying, well, you know, Congress has a strange way of saying thank you. And that's right. This is the fight that we're in. It's the fight to preserve the middle class of America. It's a fight to preserve fairness. It's a fight to preserve our economic growth in America. And it's truly about what type of nation we want to leave our children and grandchildren. You heard my colleagues talk about the fight that's taking place every day in the United States Congress. There are those who want to turn back the clock, who want to turn back the progress that we've made. Progress that we made on workers' rights. You see that every day in the amendments and legislation that originates in the House of Representatives and amendments that are offered before the United States Senate. They want to turn back the clock on women's rights. We're going to fight an amendment tomorrow in the United States Senate that deals with basic rights for women and for all Americans. They want to turn that clock back. They want to turn the clock back on civil rights. Look at some of the laws that they want to pass that make it more difficult for people to vote in elections. They want to turn back. They said they want to take their country back. They want to take it back to the 19th century. But we have a different vision of America. We have a vision of America that will have a growing middle class and will offer opportunity to all of our citizens. I'm proud to stand with you and with our federal workers. You are our future. You are doing your job. We're going to stand with you. I know that we've talked about this deficit and about what the federal workforce has already done. I want you to know that how we got into this deficit, because it was not the federal workers who caused this deficit. Let's tell the facts the way they are. When George W. Bush became president, we had a large surplus in this country. We thought we'd pay off all the publicly held debt. And then he decided to go to war, not in one country, but two. Iraq was not involved in the attack on our country on September 11th. George W. Bush decided that's where we wanted to be. And the sacrifice he asked from the American people was to get a tax cut, not once but twice, to people who didn't need it and didn't deserve it. That's right. And that's how we got into this deficit. That's how we got into this deficit. So when we look for ways to solve our national fiscal problems, let's look at those who have benefited the most from this current economic downturn. The millionaires and billionaires, they have to come forward with some help. Not our federal workers. Enough is enough. Enough is too much. Too much. I heard John Sarbanes talk about the contribution you already made on 2 years of freezes, which was wrong. Shouldn't have had those freezes. Okay? You didn't cause this deficit. The federal workforce is prepared to sit down and work with all of the players on how to deal with our deficit. But don't pick on the federal workforce. That's wrong. That's wrong. So you have endured not just 2 years of pay freeze, as Congressman Congressman Sarbanes indicated that's about $60 billion you've already contributed to the deficit, but you've done more. We're asking you to do more with less every day. We've cut the federal workforce and increased your responsibilities. And you're doing that every day. You already have given to helping solve our national fiscal problems. Enough is enough. It's time to look for fairness in the system. So I was put on this conference committee in order to deal with the extension of the payroll tax holiday, which is important, helps middle-income families, $160 million. We wanted to make sure that was done. To extend unemployment benefits, we wanted to see that done for those who've lost their jobs through no fault of their own. And to fix this problem we have in Medicare, to make sure that our seniors have access to doctors. We needed to get that done. We all agreed on it. So we said, look, we already have a deficit, not of our making. So why don't we pay for this in a fair way? Why don't we pay for it by putting a surtax on income, but by the way, we'll exempt the first $1 million of taxable income. I hope I'm not offending too many people in this room. The people who've made over $1 million of taxable income have seen their incomes go up dramatically during this economic downturn. As Eleanor Holmes Norton said, we've helped the banks, we've helped the mortgage companies, we've helped Wall Street. Isn't it about time that they pay back a little bit of that? You didn't ask for much. Just ask pay back a little in order to allow our economy to grow. The Republicans in the House sent us back a bill that would have cut your compensation dramatically. It would impose another year of a pay freeze, would have increased your contributions to your pension plans, would have reduced the benefits of your pension plans, would have eliminated the supplemental plan altogether. That's what they sent over to us. I was on that conference committee. Chris Van Hollen was on that conference committee. The two of us stood up and said, we are not going to let those certain middle-income taxpayers be picked on in order to provide relief that is needed. There's a better way. And we said no. We said no. We stood up for America. We stood up for a better world. We said enough is enough. We're not going to take it. We're not going to let you tell us that we have to do that in order to get bills that are necessary done. Enough is enough. We're not going to let you do that. We're not going to let you take them. Middle-income work. That's how America grows. Enough is enough. But we stood up. We said no. I also want to acknowledge another giant in this battle who stood up with us. He wasn't on the conference committee, but he was very effective in making sure that the message was received, that we weren't going to allow this to happen. And that's my colleague and friend, Steny Hoyer. Give him a shout out.